So Heron's still straight up and in the air. No doubts that these two crews not quite straight and ready yet, Greg.
Yeah, they want to get the boats completely set up and straight. The water is a little bit bobbly and there's a bit of a crosswind blowing on them. They're sheltered behind the island, but Matthew Pinson will see those arms go down, and now it's time to go.
Yeah, no messing around here. As soon as those hands were down, Matthew Pinson says, attention, go. And Deerfield versus Greenwich. Greenwich on the left-hand side of the picture. Deerfield Academy on the right-hand side of the picture. Both from the USA. And I think for me, it's the might of Deerfield Academy that goes out into the lead through the island.
Yeah, that's right. A really good start from Deerfield Academy. We're having a look here at the Greenwich Crew, and you can see a lot of these crews were looking really aggressive earlier on the regatta. Really strong young women powering it down. But you were absolutely right. It's Deerfield Academy here who pushed at almost half a length already.
Yeah, Deerfield Academy. They row out of the Hammershire boathouse, family boathouse in Boston, between Boston and Albany in Massachusetts. They've got half a length over the crew from Connecticut, both from the northeast of the United States of America. And over here in Henley-on-Thames, going head-to-head, and it's been held at half a length here, maybe just stretching to 3/4 as we move towards the first mark of that quarter-mile signal, Greg.
Yeah, well, I wonder how well the Greenwich Crew have settled into a rhythm, and whether actually they've just settled on something that we see in here might just be a little bit more sustainable. I'm looking at how well they're moving together, and they are really getting the work in the water, the blades in the water, and for me it's not like they're bashing it along too much. And if anything, I think it's that crew on the far side from Greenwich who've settled into a better pace.
This is the final of the Prince Philip Challenge Trophy, and we've got a great matchup for you here today between Greenwich Crew USA on the far side and the Deerfield Academy USA on the near side. It was half a length at the end of the island, but the form crew, probably the favourite crew in this event, Greenwich here on the far side, starting to claw back here after some sort of surprise challenges from Deerfield.
Yeah, that's right. Talking to some of the American colleagues and friends over here, they say this Deerfield Academy crew that we're looking at now is slightly more the surprise package that they've worked their way through the field. It's the Greenwich Crew who are probably the favourites going into it, but Deerfield went out strongly. They took a good lead, and now we can see them trying to hang on, trying to stay efficient. You can see that number 2, which shows they were leading when they came past that marker, that signal on the left, the barrier. But that number 1 goes up and shows that they're virtually level now, which shows to me a good move that Greenwich have come back in that last minute or so.
Yeah, Greenwich have had a really aggressive finish all week, and a slight look out of the boat there for Brooke Legenzowski in the 2 seat, who'll be attending Stanford University next year to continue her rowing. Joined in the bow seat by Cassidy McKee, the 18-year-old who was 2nd place at the Youth Nationals, ahead of the Charles Champion in the women's Coxford. So much talent in this Greenwich Crew, including some international favourites.
Yes, right. Phoebe Wise in the 6th seat of this Greenwich Crew. She was a junior world champion in the 8 last year, alongside the Cox of the crew, Frances McKenzie. So they've got the experience. They've been in these tough races. And I think this crew from Greenwich have just edged their way back into it. But again, a fantastic race. We said it's been a fantastic event throughout this junior women's 8. And here they are, bow ball to bow ball at halfway, rowing into this big, strong headwind.
Oh, this is going to be another really close one. I barely have time to gather my breath through the Sunday of Henley Royal Regatta. It's been absolutely epic final after epic final, and Greenwich are trying here now to perform a row through, to come through on that left-hand side. And just look at the pace here that they're moving through these centre parts.
Yeah, this centre part of the race, Catherine Starr, the coach of the Greenwich Crew, will be pleased with that blade work. She'll want to see those blades staying connected, staying underwater. This is usually the most unforgiving shot, the straight-on picture. And if anything, it's Deerfield who are looking a little bit cleaner with that blade work, a little bit more connected with that blade work, which is why that number 2 has gone up ahead of the number 1. And they've held on to that lead that they had earlier.
Wow, they've really had to hold on for that, but they've not let Greenwich through. Greenwich yesterday in the semi-final had to have a really tough race with Headington School. Just half a length separated them to get them into this final. And look at this, it's much less than half a length now. Bow ball for bow ball as we come past Revenham Club. Oh, this is just wonderful. Half a canvas separating Deerfield Academy from Greenwich.
Absolutely, they're side by side, and they both had tough races yesterday. The Deerfield Academy had to see off the Winter Park crew as the crews are now getting close together. They'll be feeling all the rounds they've had to go through, the four races they've gone through in this knockout format. This is the final, this is Sunday, and they're bow ball to bow ball. They're even blade tip to blade tip, but those are in the middle of the river, so the umpire won't need to warn either crew. It's about the efficiency, about the effectiveness. This is the Deerfield Academy, still looking the cleaner for me, but are they as strong, are they as powerful when it comes down to this last sprint coming into the last quarter?
Absolutely, stone faces there. Lillian Alf in the bow seat means business, and here are the Greenwich crew from the USA. And I think you're right, Greg, just having to really try and chase it. And when you come from the back foot and have to chase back, sometimes you can get a little bit impatient. Deerfield have had the pleasure of looking back at their opposition, even if it's just by a seat. They've just kept that little bit calmer, but Greenwich go again.
Well, this is a perverse kind of pleasure now that rowers understand. You're side by side with another crew, you've been battle paddling, you're digging deep, you're holding your technique together, you're trying to stay strong in your head, and if anything, I think it's the Greenwich crew who've just started to move. Their bow ball is now just squeezing in front of Deerfield Academy here, but there's still the whole of the enclosures to go, a good 2 minutes of rowing left. Anything could still happen.
Yeah, anything can happen in 2 minutes, and Deerfield Academy are going to have to find something. The Cox will be absolutely screaming. Emmy Takagami in the Cox's seat, 16 years of age, trying to drive back some form of push here, but a lot of splash coming off the Greenwich crew. I think the door could still be open here for Deerfield.
Well, the splash is there off the Greenwich crew, but I think it's a splash which is powering them along as we look now at the back of this Deerfield Academy. That's Lillian Arf in the bow seat. She's doing her best to try and keep in time, keep that crew moving, but it's the power, the might of the Greenwich crew here who are moving through in front of the enclosures.
And look at that, the iconic backdrop for an iconic final of the Prince Philip Challenge Trophy. Just 2 years of this event, but it's an all-American final, and Greenwich, having come from the back foot, have rowed through now to get half a length over early leaders, Deerfield Academy USA, as they come in front of the progress boards.
Coming through the progress board, the umpire moving both crews apart so that it don't clash, but here we go, coming down to the line. It looks for me like it's going to be Greenwich crew. It is that Greenwich crew from the United States across the line, ahead of Deerfield, about half a length, and a great move, a great last quarter from Greenwich crew there.
Yeah, what a mature way to win a race, hey, to come from behind, hold yourself through the middle, and believe that you can do that and put in a performance to overhaul, overtake, and move through to claim the Prince Philip Challenge Trophy for Greenwich Crew USA.
Well, they were neck and neck through halfway, weren't they? There was very little you could separate these two crews, but it was the Deerfield Academy who were leading at that point, but then Greenwich turned it on when it matters. Their supporters there in their blue and white outfits. I felt like I was watching the World Cup final again, watching Argentina coming across the line, raising the trophy, and it will be that crew from Greenwich who'll be raising the Prince Philip Challenge Cup later on today.